On that note, we got Hedgemony in. I'm gonna pull you up here if you're ready to go. We got Hedgemony in. This has been one that's been really interesting for Believe. They've been the chart's been holding up really nice. People are starting to pay attention, and there's a few catalysts recently that we're gonna talk about. And let me pull up the chart so we have this in the background.
Yeah, I got it up. Oh, sure.
You go. Let's see. Cool. But yeah, so Hegemony is really interesting. That's a nice chart. Again, you
Yeah.
kind of look at the rest of the market. Everything is bleeding, especially today, right? So we got a lot of things bouncing after the Yeezy extraction, if you will. And this one has not really been giving back much gains. So that's good to see for Hegemony. It's a good sign. Lots of people are sidelined, kind of interested to get their hands on. Um, it'll be interesting to hear a conversation and get some more insight on what they're building, what they're working towards. But this is a grant recipient from Believe, right? So Believe has put their money where their mouth is. And so they have faith in Hegemony's product. They have Believe Capital backing. Believe Capital has gone in and verified these numbers, checked them out. They're excited to build with Hegemony. Um, and just it's a really cool concept, right? It seems like what they've been building is, if executed properly, going to be absolutely massive. And so we want to thank Hegemony for coming up, and we're excited for this conversation.
Hey, what's up, guys? Thank you for having me on today.
Yeah, dude, excited to talk. um, I think we'll just have to kick this off with some basic stuff. For those that don't know, we want to get an idea of your background, where this idea kind of came from, and how you're actively executing on building it.
Cool. So, for those who don't know, who haven't been on any of the other spaces, my real name is Marvin. Um, Part of my background, started out, believe it or not, wanting to go into medicine my whole life. I took a gap year in between high school and college, and I worked at my first AI tech startup, discovered AI. This was back when was it? It was just after GPT-3 had come out. Anyways, found out about large language models, fell in love with AI, kind of did a 360 on my career. And since then, I've just been experimenting in this area of tech slash AI, building different products, projects, working in different places. And, sitting this year, I think it was around March. No, this was February. So I've been into crypto for a bit. Nothing crazy, more so holding altcoins, etc. But after Trump got sworn in, I would follow up with some of the news, and I'd wake up, check my portfolio, and see, oh, wow, Solana's down like 2% in the last hour. Wonder what happened. Then I'd go on Twitter and I'd see, breaking news, Trump announces XYZ. And I gave it a month, kind of forgot about the idea. But this kept happening over and over, as humans, we're pattern recognizing machines. And at some point I said, wow, there could be some alpha in here. Anyways, that's how it got started. I built what you could call a Trump bot. I would scrape his True Social to get the fastest, announcements, and then the AI would do a sentiment analysis and autonomously open long or short positions, or not open any at all, depending on the news. So it started out quite basic. Then I realized, wow, it's working quite well. Why not expand to everything else? To what China is saying, to, the wars going on, to basically anything happening around the world. So now we're aggregating close to 3,000 news sources, all the way from Reuters, Bloomberg Terminal, down to, niche sources in Iran. For example, when Iran got bombed, when was it? A month and a half ago? Yeah, when I
Something like
was
that.
I was in San Francisco at Y Combinator at the time, and I remember Iran got bombed. The algorithm, one of the sources they were scraping was Al Jazeera Channel 12 in Iran, and it received the news of incoming missiles 2 minutes before I saw it on my own Bloomberg terminal. So part of the in-house scraping that we do on our custom sources is the fact that we can sometimes actually front run the big players in the game. So it's all about speed, really, in the prediction market space. And so, yeah, that's how it started. The bulk of, the sauce is, the sentiment analysis, the AI workflow that takes all of these aggregated news, puts it through and decides, is this market moving? Yes or no. Um, that was kind of the hardest part of building all of this. Anyways, started out as the Trump bot. I expanded. Then I went to San Francisco for the Y Combinator startup school. I met a bunch of very cool people there. Talked to a lot of my idols that I've been, seeing on YouTube and TV kind of my whole life. And the overarching advice that I got over and over was, "Hey, you've built something, amazing. Why are you thinking so small?" And I said, "Okay, that's very true." One of the people that I met there was Lucas from Believe. He encouraged me to launch on their platform because it's a perfect way to crowdfund capital without giving away any equity. And my plan was to just go straight into a seed round, but launching on Believe and showing user demand is was the perfect idea. Actually, one of the things that really tipped me over the edge, because I was debating, should I just go into seed round? What should I even do with this product? Should I just keep managing my own money and the funds that I was managing at the time for other people? And one of the speakers at Y Combinator was Tom Bloomfield. He's the CEO and founder of one of the biggest online banks in the world. And he had a very similar story to me. His speech was called How to Build a Bank. I thought it was very inspiring. It's basically he was the only one to receive a private banking license in over 200 years in the UK. Nobody believed in him. Everybody told him it was impossible. Even his own consultant, which was training him for these interviews, told him that's probably not going to happen. Anyways, I stood up in front of, 2,000 people to ask him a question. I was like, "Hey, thank you for the story. I resonate a lot with it. Here's the position I'm in. Here's what I've built. And here's where I want to take this idea. What advice would you have for me?" And basically, what he told me is, took 30 seconds to think. And he said, "Why don't you build something useful for humanity?" And I was in my mind, I was like, what? I was expecting a very, wow answer from him. But, anyways, at that point, I realized, okay, traditional hedge funds, what they do, they only manage money usually for big clients, right? Not everybody can just go to a top hedge fund and, put in money. To build something useful for humanity is turning this algorithm into, as I scale it into a hedge fund, to not only manage big clients, but to make it very consumer friendly. And that's when I realized if I launch in the Web3, especially with the support from Believe app, what I can do is, let everybody have access to, these signals, the market moving news, right? And then make it very consumer friendly so somebody can come look at my terminal, look at the trading signals and say, okay, I'm going to use $100,000, or maybe they just want to throw in, and use $50. So that's kind of how it all got started, what pushed me, why I'm now in the Web3 space, and the what the future entails for this vision.
Yeah. No, I think that's a great startup story, and I've heard this before on one or two other spaces I've heard you speak, and I love how this kind of gave you a chip on your shoulder and a reason to push harder than you maybe did or were thinking before. So that's fantastic to hear. But when I think of the best hedge funds in the world, I think of Renaissance Technology, and many other of these high frequency algo trading firms. Right, that's really what first comes to mind. And like you mentioned, these are only available to private investors. Some of the people that got started with these firms or hedge funds very, very early on, or people with big money, like you said. So if you've actually been able to crack the code for algorithmic trading and then make it accessible to the masses, you could be sitting on something very, very important here for the future of ICM, for the future of uh, trading and everything else. So I think that's super cool. Let's talk a little bit about this PNL because I got it pulled up. Okay. And so you've created this bot. And essentially, it scans from, I think you said, over 6,000 different news sources or endpoints, and then it brings all of this data, it aggregates all of this data before other news sources gets a hold of it, and you use leverage trading to long or short the market. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So let's talk about a bit about these stats. You got your 7-day P&L. Can you tell us about how it's been since launching this platform and how it's been since the start, since inception?
Yeah. So it's been going great, just to put it lightly. Uh, over 70 days with the leverage that I'm using, it was 8,100 P&L, and since we launched, it's sitting around 2,000% P&L, which is great. I was a bit worried because what a lot of people don't understand, especially people that I've managed money for in the past, is that this is not traditional investing. um, to put that on pause for a second, the fact that it's not traditional investing means that, it's very volatile and it's very spontaneous. You can have 3 bad days in a row because the global markets are not, reacting to news as they should because of whatever conditions. But then you have, 2 weeks of just booms constantly, and that's why I was a bit worried. I was thinking, what if, there's 3 bad days that the algorithm performs and people just don't understand that, you know, sometimes you lose, but then the big ones, you win a lot. So I'm very, very happy that, although, one day we're on the negative, as you can see in that tweet, the last 24 hours in that tweet were minus 35%. But you look at the last 7 days in that tweet and, it speaks for itself. So yeah, it's been going very well, both in back testing when I was building this, both in live trading when I was managing money, and now also when having released the terminal, it's been going great. And that's why I want to take this even a step further for the community here in Web3 with what I'm working on next.
Interesting, and we're gonna get into what you alluded to working on next here, but you make a great point. When these people are watching these traders or trading algorithms, you guys cannot expect up only charts all the time, right? There's going to be 2, 3, 4, maybe a week, maybe a month of down days, but ultimately you want the curve to be, to the up and up. Do you actually have, and again, on the show, we love to let you pull up the screen, let you show off your platform live. So if you want to share your screen and kind of show off, like we would love that. Do you actually have a chart or something that kind of represents the growth so we could just show that, and how maybe 1 or 2 or 3 bad days is kind of erased when you zoom out and look at the longer term trajectory?
Yeah, and unfortunately, I'm connected from my phone, so I can't screen share. But on the website, hegemony.fund, if you just go on the terminal, you can click on the left-hand side. It says, let's see, full trade log, and then you can see all the previous trades. And I'm scrolling it on now from my computer, and I can see there was at some point, one, two, three, like six my six trades that will hit the stop loss in a row, and then the next day it was 5 trades in a row that hit 250%, you know. So it's very volatile. The thing that helps a lot is having stop losses in place, right? If you execute a trade, you can then see, okay, it's not reacting in the way that it should be. And by the way, I filter from all the noise, I filter the signals, right? So I bank on the fact that the trades that I do open are the trades that are gonna go, 30 to 150%, per trade. So that's why the stop loss is there. Because if we see it's not going in the right direction, we can kind of stop it at the right moment. Um,
And is
and
that
so yeah,
handled by the algorithm or is that handled
yeah,
by you?
no, everything on my end, what I do on a day-to-day basis is just, I wake up, uh, check the log, you know, trades. It does a sensitive analysis, and then it trades as well, and it closes the position. Everything is fully automated. All I have to do is just, sit back, relax, and see what the PNL is like, you know.
Okay,
So
and
yeah, I don't
are
I
you
don't move a finger on
how are
my
you
end.
scraping these
And that's
news
that's the
sources?
best part of it. A lot of the stress when you're managing money, especially being early on, right? When I first started with this idea, people were very hungry to come give me money to manage, which I wasn't expecting because usually you have to go to people and ask them for money. So at the start, it was quite hard. Part of the stress that is removed is that you've built a great product. That great product is working, and you don't do anything. You just sit back and trust that whatever it's doing well.
And so, okay, so the premise here is you might have 3 or 4 or 5, however many small losses, in a row, but the big losses are gonna make up for it, in many multiples.
Can you
Or the big
guys
wins,
hear me?
excuse me.
I think sorry, let me
You were cutting out
reconnect.
a little bit, but you're good.
I can't hear you guys.
Alrighty.
Little technical difficulty here, guys. But we'll wait for him to reconnect. But I like I'm loving what I'm hearing so far.
How do we feel this compares to Rainmaker? Well, we haven't tried Rainmaker, to be fair. And
Lightning is
then
different, no? It's
yeah, like
different.
Rainmaker's
agents are
definitely different.
different.
I actually, I do like this style more where it's more like news oriented. It feels like there's a fundamental aspect behind each and every trade, which I like. Hey, can
Yeah.
you hear us?
Yeah, I just reconnected. Sorry about that.
You're good, man. It's a live show. It happens all the time. So, but that being said, yeah, I mean, no, it's a super cool platform. So to give people a gist or the premise of it, you know, you should expect to have a couple, 3, 4, 5 losses in a row, but they're all small losses, and then that one win or 2 wins should typically outweigh in magnitude the losses. Yeah.
Yes, of course. And
How do you refine the AI as best as possible to try to get it to not misinterpret news or like pick up from fake news sources or something that's not confirmed?
Good question.
yeah, that's as I said, that's kind of the whole secret, the whole IP of it, really. The other things, sure, they're pretty hard to do, but this was the sentiment analysis, training the bot, finding the perfect sweet spot was the hardest thing that took, you know, 2 months of just 16 hours a day. It includes talking to people in the area who have been news trading for years. Some very notable people, uh, you know, market movers on Twitter, which as of now, I won't say anything on that, but talking to people who are news traders and have been for years, and constant iterations of it. You find a prompt, a system prompt that works, you back test it, you test it on a new sample, so you remove the skew that, might be there, right? Um, and constant iterations. Then you see that changing one small thing in the prompting and the whole workflow changes your win rate by 9%. That's huge. That's huge. And so it's just constant iterations. I think my whole folder of cracking this sentiment analysis is, hundreds of subfolders. It's kind of splitting the hair into two, then splitting it again, seeing that doesn't work, so you move on to a new hair. Just constant iteration, uh, over and over. That's
So
kind
you
of what the process looks like.
so you literally went boots on ground and reached out to like local news traders to get some of their thoughts.
Yeah, I wouldn't say local. I would. There's two people in particular who helped me quite a lot. Maybe in the future I will mention more on that. But yes, talking to very experienced news traders and kind of understanding how their decision making, uh, you know, works. Because essentially, what I'm trying to do is give this AI a news trader brain, right? Sure, I'm good at news trading. I can kind of read the market beyond the average person, probably. But there's some people that, can read the market way better, and they're kind of the top of the top, and they have the insights. And basically, I want to translate their whole brain and map it onto this AI so that I can have a very similar brain and think at the same time.